Good evening and welcome to the all-new streaming podcast Behind the Music, where we bring you up close and personal with the hottest recording artists in the independent entertainment industry. And for all your up-to-the-minute entertainment news and information, log on to our website at www.theurbaninfluencer.com, your number one platform for independent artists. And now, without further ado, let's jump to it on Behind the Music with your host, Tony Bass. And this evening, we have the splendid pleasure to talk to Ashley Scott, originally out of the Philadelphia area, and he's a phenomenal recording artist with a wonderful resume, and you're going to enjoy this conversation. So first and foremost, Ashley, I want to welcome you to City Beat TV and Behind the Music.
Oh, thank you, Tony. It's an honor to finally be here. I've been watching you for a minute, so I'm thankful to kind of be on this side of the chair.
All right, good brother. We're going to get right into it. But first, I got to ask, man, did you go to Howard?
Yes, I did. I'm a proud alumni of Howard University, HU.
Okay. You've been in this music business for a little while, and just want to know if you could just introduce yourself to our audience and give us a little bit of your background. And when did you get into actually start to record as a major recording artist?
I've been in music all my life. Born in Philadelphia and kind of, I would say, a next generation Philly artist, genetically, if you will. My dad's sister, her name is Helen Scott. And when she was 15 years old, back in 1963, she joined a female singing group that's still performing to this very day, and they're the longest running female vocal trio in music history. I'm sure you may remember a group called the 3 Degrees. So my aunt is an original and current member of the 3 Degrees, and she's been doing this for over 60 years. She did take 10 years out of the group for a minute. She left after 4 years in 1966 and came back in 1976 and has been there ever since. And so she was my biggest inspiration for getting into music. And my mother grew up on the same street as the Delphonics. So they're like the extended uncles, if you will. And between both those groups, I've always wanted to be a performer and have a group of my own, but I'm a solo artist. And I have actually joined a group, and I'll tell that story later down the line. But, I just kind of grew up around the music, and my father, he had an extensive record collection, so he was always playing Earth, Wind & Fire in Chicago in the house. So I had a very well-versed palette of music and between both the groups of the Delphonics and the 3 Degrees. Not only did they record their original stuff, but they had a vast amount of repertoire in terms of cover songs. So I was hearing like the Delphonics version of Alfie, or the 3 Degrees singing MacArthur Park and things of that nature. So it was a very wide palette of music that I was taking in at an early age. And of course, growing up in the 80s, you go through your Michael, Prince, and Luther phases, and your New Jack Swing, and your 90s music, and your Neo Soul, and here we are up to date. I went to Howard University undergrad, studied under Kahembe Eichelberger, Grady Tate, who was a jazz drummer and vocalist, a well-known jazz drummer and vocalist, as well as Webster Lewis, who was a well-known jazz pianist, producer, and arranger. Webster was the conductor for Barry White's Love Unlimited Orchestra, and he also recorded 4 albums on his own in the 70s under CBS/Sony Music. And so he did a 5th album with Love Unlimited under Barry White's label as well, called Welcome Aboard. And he produced Michael Wyckoff's Looking Up to You in 1981, which is later sampled by Jeanne and now remade by me on my current album as a tribute to him. So coming up in Philly over the past couple of decades, I was here during the whole neo soul movement, watching Kendrick, Jaguar Wright, Bilal, Music Soul Child, Jill Scott all put Philly back on the map, with a newer version of the Philadelphia sound. And I started recording my music originally my first release was 2016. It was a ballad called Words, and it was on my own label. And it also made a compilation CD for Expansion Records, Luxury Soul. My second single was Dance the Night Away in 2020, and that was co-written by Will Downing and a producer out of Philly named Wayne Parr, and that became my first international hit, if you will, it did well on some UK charts. After that, I came out with Don't Throw Our Love Away in 2021, and that became my biggest known single, or my international anthem, if you will. So if I don't leave the stage singing that, people will be upset. So I'm thankful to have that type of song. After that, we dropped Thought of You, and that did okay on the Urban Influencer charts. And then came back with Together in 2022. That was a wedding song and a very lush ballad. Together did very well for me internationally. After that, we did You Remind Me in 2024. And we had a couple remixes as well for some of the songs, like Dance the Night Away, Don't Throw Our Love Away, and Together in between those times. And I just released my first full-length album on July 11th, 2025. And the current single, there's a few singles out that we're pushing to radio: Love You for All Time for smooth jazz radio, Always for R&B radio, and the remake of Looking Up to You.
But tell us a little bit about your new endeavors. You're I don't know how long you've been with Expansion Records, but this is what your new album's on. And I just wanted to know, how did you hook up with this UK project or company, and how's it working out for you?
It's working out. I have my own label, Soulful Sounds International Records, and most of the music in my catalog has been on that label. The relationship with Expansion Records started, I met Ralph T about 20 years ago via the internet, and Ralph T actually put out Webster Lewis's 4 albums that I was telling you about earlier from Sony. And it was after Webster passed in 2003, I think he put the albums out around 2008, maybe, all 4 albums. And I reached out to him saying, hey, thank you for putting the albums out. He was my professor, and he said, well, do you want to write some liner notes? And I said, sure, and I did. And so my first single, Words, made it on his Luxury Soul compilation in 2017, and then in 2023 he added Don't Throw Our Love Away as well. So the relationship has always been there, and Ralph was actually the first radio presenter or personality to play my song Together in 2022. So we've known each other for quite some time. Another mutual contact got us together and said, share the music with him in the rough stages, and he liked it, and he said he'd be interested in helping to put out the record, and I was thankful. And he said at first, I like these 2 right here, and then he said, okay, I like 4, and then he started saying, okay, I like 6 now. So I'm just thankful for the support, and it's doing very well for me internationally.
Right. In this new album, man, Love for All Time, you got some big dogs on here, man.
Yes. So for the past 15 years, I've worked with Will Downing on his team. And I've actually sung background on a few of his records as well. And so not just through him, but through other, relationships with other people have been a part of the record. Will is a friend, mentor, boss. We talk every day on everything. And the first song that I started recording for this album was a song that I reached out to Frank McComb about producing. And so Frank is one of the most talented individuals you'll ever hear or meet on the planet. I've known Frank for about 25 years. It went from admiring his music to occasionally supporting him when he was here in Philadelphia, performing and just being of assistance. And he supported my music as well over the years. And then one day I said, hey, would you produce a song on me? He said, of course. So I wrote a song called Forgive and Forget, and I recorded the acapella at home. He put the music around it. It was the first time that I had worked it like that, recording. And so I called Will, I said, hey, can you help me record these vocals? Because Will actually helped me get started with recording the first 2 songs, Words and Dance the Night Away. So he said, yeah, no problem, come on up. So I went to his house. He lives in the New York area, and went up to his house, recorded the vocals to Forgive and Forget at his studio, and he really helped me produce the vocals on that one. I sent Frank another song idea, and he said no problem, and that was Always. On the song Love You for All Time, again, I was trying to duplicate the feel and energy of Don't Throw Our Love Away. And Don't Throw Our Love Away has a sax on there with Elan Trotman originally. And so I had the opportunity for about a year or so to work on the team with Najee, and he and I were very close. And so I shared the idea with him and sent him the track, and he said, okay, I don't want to play sax on this one because I don't want it to sound so close. So he said, what if I play flute? I said, you're Najee, you can play anything you want. So Najee is playing flute on Love You For All Time. One of my good friends from Howard University, we're both alumni, and that's one of the kings of independent soul, and that's Eric Roberson. He co-wrote a song with me and my producer, Damon Bennett. He co-wrote the song Questions. That one came up with a lot of topics and stuff for the album, was more so trying to say things in a different way or find different theories for songwriting. And so this one came because the 3 Degrees are known for the song When Will I See You Again? And if you sing the song, you'll find that every line in that song is a question. So I thought to myself, okay, let me try to write a song where every line is a question. And when you think about meeting people in today's times, whether it's personal or professional, we've kind of come to a point where meeting people is a job interview. And it's like, what job are they going to play in your life, whether it's personal or professional? What can you do for them? What can they do for you? Do you like me? Check this box, yes or no. Do you want to go out for coffee? Do you like my hair? Everything is a question in today's times. So we came up with Questions, and it was a fun song to record.
Now, I know that we can definitely find out more about you at AshleyScottMusic.com. And are there other social media platforms that you want to give a shout out to?
Sure. The main site is AshleyScottMusic.com. On Instagram, it's AshleyScott3. On TikTok, it's Ashley Scott Music. On YouTube, it's Ashley Scott Music. And on Facebook, it's I Am Ashley Scott.
Outstanding. I'll tell you, Ashley, it's been a true pleasure to sit here and chop it up with you, man. I learned a lot, and certainly I'm very impressed with your knowledge of the music business, and wishing you the best going forward in your career in every aspect that you intend to traverse.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Hey, it's my pleasure. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's my new friend right there. That's Ashley Scott. Definitely look him up, check out his music, and support.
Hi, this is Ashley Scott, and when I'm in New England, I'm always tuned into the City Beat, and now you're listening to my new record, Always.
When we were young, we were at a different stage of age. You were the introduction to what life would be like. Your impact made me have a crush on you, not knowing what the future held for us. On the night that we kissed, it was your bliss. It changed everything that day. It brought back those feelings from the good old days, and it made me love you always. When you were mine, you called me your sunshine. We made some steam from a childhood dream. We had a light that we could not buy, and a new love was shown once we were all grown up, baby. On the night that we kissed, it was your bliss. It changed everything that day. It brought back those feelings. Yes, it did. Good old days, and it made me love you always. You can't stop loving a former love, 'cause the love was already made. There were some things that were a strain,